You sign the papers. The building is yours. Somewhere behind you, a banker is smiling. He should be. Because you just bought into the only business on earth where the math is rigged in your favor on every single transaction that happens inside your walls. And you are still going to spend the next 5 years wondering if you'll survive. That's the part nobody tells you when you dream about owning a casino. The house always wins. But the house can still go bankrupt. By the end of tonight, you'll understand exactly why. How the numbers guarantee your profit down to the decimal. Why the smartest operators on the planet have lost everything anyway. And what it actually takes to become the person holding the building when the lights finally stay on. So let's find out what you just bought. First decision, how big do you go? A small regional casino, the kind you'll find off a highway in Colorado, costs you somewhere between $2 and $5 million. A few dozen slot machines, a couple of card tables, a bar, a parking lot that fills up on the first of the month when the checks come in. Not glamorous, but it's yours, and it's real. Or you go bigger. A mid-sized property, something like Atlantic City's Borgata, which opened in 2003 after its budget swelled from an initial $500 million plan to a final $1.1 billion. Real hotel. Real restaurants. Customers driving in from 3 states over instead of just the next town. Or you go all the way. The Las Vegas Strip, where the number stops feeling real. The Cosmopolitan opened in December 2010 at a cost of $3.9 billion, and it still stands as the most expensive standalone resort ever built there. You pick your size. But the building was never the real cost. There are 2 more bills waiting, and nobody warned you about either. The first is the license. In Nevada, that's roughly $770,000 a year just to keep operating. In New York, simply applying can run you $20 to $50 million, with zero guarantee you'll ever open a door. You're not buying a casino, you're buying a lottery ticket where the prize is permission to spend a few billion more. The second is geography, and it's brutal. Macau, the gambling capital of the world, pulled in $28.3 billion in gaming revenue in 2024 alone, more than every casino on the Las Vegas Strip combined, several times over. But the Macau government only hands out 6 concessions for the entire city, and they're locked in until the end of 2032. You don't build your way in. You wait for a door that isn't opening. You could try somewhere stranger. Kim Jong-un is still looking for someone to finish the 105-floor Ryugyong Hotel in Pyongyang, a building North Korea started in 1987 and has not completed in nearly 4 decades. Finish the interior, and the casino license is yours. Even the most closed-off government on the planet understands what you're about to learn. A casino is a foreign currency magnet with a roof over it. Now you own the building. Now the real question starts. Where does the money actually come from? Every game inside your casino is mathematically rigged. Not the cards. The cards are real. Not the wheel. It's honest. It's the rules underneath the game that are built to make sure that, over enough time, you win more than your customer does. Every time. The industry has a clean name for this, the house edge. Picture a coin flip. Heads, your customer wins $1. Tails, you win $1. That's a fair bet. 0 edge for anyone. Now change one rule. Heads still pays your customer $1, but tails, you keep $1 and a nickel. Same coin, same flip. Except now, on average, across 1,000 flips, you walk away 5 cents richer every single time. That nickel is the entire casino industry, scaled up to the size of a skyline. Roulette shows it best. A European wheel has 37 numbers. Bet $100 on a single number and win, and you pay out $3,500. But the real odds of that number landing are 36 to 1, meaning a fair payout would be $3,600. That missing $100 is your cut on one bet from one customer. Multiply it by 1,000 players a day, every day for 30 years, and you start to see the shape of your business. Slot machines are where the real money lives, and here's the part that will genuinely surprise you. The cheaper the machine, the higher your edge. Penny slots, the machines your grandmother feeds change into all afternoon, run a house edge of 12 to 15%. High-limit blackjack tables, where the wealthy play, often sit under 1%. Your grandmother statistically is the most profitable customer walking through your door. In 2024, slot machines on the Las Vegas Strip alone generated close to $5 billion, more than every table game in the building put together. That's the math. Now here's the architecture built on top of it. Walk your own casino floor and notice what's missing. No windows, no clocks. Carpet patterns designed to pull the eye upward, toward the machines. Every path from a table to an exit is built to walk your customer past 10 more rows of slots first, just in case there's anything left in their pocket. Inside the industry, this has a name: engineered immersion. You're not trying to win their money once. You're trying to keep them inside, with no sense of time. long enough for the math to finish its work. And then there's the loyalty card. You hand every guest a free card, they slide it into every machine and hand it to every dealer, and from that second forward, you're tracking every bet they make. From that, you calculate their theoretical loss. What the math says they should lose over an evening. Bet $10,000 at a 5% edge, and their theoretical loss is $500. You hand back 5 to 10% of that number in free rooms, free meals, free drinks. Strip casinos gave away over $4 billion in comps in 2024 alone. You didn't lose that money. You invested it, buying more time for the math to work. At the very top of your customer list sit the whales, roughly 1 in 1,000 gamblers, responsible for over a quarter of the entire industry's revenue. Take Dana White, the UFC president, who plays blackjack at $25,000 a hand. In 2012, he beat the Palms out of over $2 million. 2 years later, he beat them again, this time for $1.6 million, and the Palms banned him from its tables for good. Caesars still lets him play. Why would you ever welcome a customer who beats you for millions? Because on every other night, the math wins, and the whale always comes back. Flying one in on a private jet and comping the penthouse for a weekend is rational business when their expected loss is $10 million. House edge, multiplied by volume, multiplied by time, multiplied by how often they come back. That's the entire model. Every chandelier, every free drink, every missing clock exists to grow one of those 4 numbers. So if the math is this guaranteed, why do casino owners like you still go broke? Because of everything the math doesn't cover. Out of every dollar your casino brings in, 70 to 80 cents disappears before you ever see it. A typical strip resort runs on a 25 to 33% net margin. A third of your revenue goes straight to payroll. A single resort can employ 3,000 to 8,000 people. Another slice goes to taxes. Nevada takes 6.75% of gaming revenue, Macau takes 40%, and Pennsylvania takes over half of everything you make on slots. Then there's the cost of simply being a casino. More cameras per square foot than most prisons running around the clock. Fresh decks swapped onto every table every 4 to 8 hours to guard against marked cards. Millions of decks thrown away every year just by you. Drinks poured by the tens of thousands daily, not from generosity, but because a slightly drunk gambler bets bigger and stays longer. And drunk gamblers also fall, fight, and sue, which is why your liability insurance climbs every year you're open. The math hands you a guaranteed top line. Everything underneath it is a fight, and that fight has claimed nearly every famous casino collapse in modern history, almost always for one of 2 reasons. The first is debt that assumes a perfect year, every year. In April 1990, Donald Trump opened the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, financed by $675 million in junk bonds at 14% interest. Just to service that debt, the casino needed to generate close to $100 million a year. By that October, it missed its first payment. By 1991, it was in bankruptcy court. You can build the most expensive building on the boardwalk. You cannot build one that has no room to breathe. The second mistake is building the wrong casino for the customer who actually shows up. In 2012, a $2.4 billion resort called Revel opened in Atlantic City, designed for Wall Street executives instead of the retirees who'd always driven up on buses. It banned smoking on the casino floor and skipped the buffet. In gambling terms, that's opening a gym and banning sweat. The hedge fund crowd never came. The retirees never came back. Revel closed after 2 years and sold in bankruptcy court for $82 million, about 3 cents on every dollar it cost to build. In 2016, a boutique casino called Lucky Dragon opened just off the strip for $160 million, built entirely around Asian high rollers, right down to the signage and interior design. It turned out those same high rollers flew to Vegas because they wanted Vegas, not a smaller, quieter version of what they'd left at home. 14 months later, Lucky Dragon closed and sold for $36 million. You can build the most beautiful casino in the world. If nobody who walks through the door actually wants to be there, none of the math matters. So step back. This is the strange contradiction sitting at the center of your new business. You now run the one industry on the planet where the top line is nearly guaranteed. A bakery has no idea how many loaves it'll sell tomorrow. You know almost exactly how much your slot machines will hold this year, give or take a percentage point. And yet casino owners fail at rates that would embarrass a tech founder because the guarantee only holds at scale over years and the house edge can't be raised in a bad quarter to cover a bad decision. Everything outside the math, your debt, your costs, your timing, your read on your own customer, has to be right for years in a row. Survive that, and here's what waiting on the other side looks like. Run the small path, that $5 million Colorado casino. And you're looking at roughly $10 million in annual gaming revenue, with around $2 million a year in real profit after costs. Payback in 3 years, not glamorous, recession-resistant. The most boring business in America with the word casino in its name. Run the big path, a full $1 billion Las Vegas resort, and the revenue looks different than you'd expect. A 2,000-room property with 100 tables and 3,000 slot machines might bring in $900 million a year, but only about a third of that comes from gambling itself. The rest is hotel rooms, restaurants, shows, and conventions. Your casino floor is really just the loss leader that pulls people through the door. Net profit after everything, around $250 to $300 million a year, with payback in about 4 years. Survive long enough at that scale, and you stop being a casino owner. You become something else entirely. Sheldon Adelson started buying casinos in 1988. By the time he died in 2021, estimates of his fortune ran as high as $40 billion, making him one of the largest personal fortunes in American history, built on a company that, at its peak, generated tens of millions of dollars in revenue on an average day. So here you are. The papers are signed, the cameras are running, the cards are clean, the wheel is honest, and every number in the building is quietly working in your favor. But the math was never the hard part. The math was the one thing you were guaranteed to get right. The rest, the debt you took on, the customer you built for, the years you have to survive before the guarantee finally pays out, that part is entirely up to you. You didn't just buy a casino. You bought a bet on your own patience. Just make sure that when it's finally over, you're the one still holding the house.